Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So welcome everyone to Diversity in Libraries. I'm Dr. Nicole Cook. I'm the instructor for this class. And thank you for everyone that is visiting with us today for the Baker Diversity Lecture Series. And so today I am very pleased to welcome Selina Sharmin to our class today. Selina and I met briefly at a conference last fall and we exchanged cards. And when I saw that she works for the New Americans program, I was really excited and really wanted to be able to have her present to the class. It's one of those things, those great programs that you read about. And, you know, when you have the opportunity to hear about it live and in person, you definitely want to be able to do that. So Selina is at the Queens Public Library and focuses on the customer. And she's going to talk about Queens immigrant population, which is the most ethnically diverse in the country, and talk about the Queens Public Library's outreach to specific ethnic communities. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Selina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Cook. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Yes, Dr. Cook and I met last fall in one of the conference, and I'm blessed and then grateful that I have that opportunity to share my experiences with you guys. As you know, my name is Selina Sharmin. I'm the Coping Skills Librarian at Queens Public Library since 2011. Part of my job is to organize educational workshops other languages than English. Any languages are spoken in Queens, and you name it. Today, my presentation will focus on brief description about Queens Public Library services and how to reach out to immigrant population and serve the culturally diverse community in Queens. Okay. So as you see the screen for Queens demographic from 2000 and 2010, Queens Public Library is for everyone, no matter where we come from, who you love, or what you believe. Recently, Queens Public Library changed their logo and color, but as you see, our demographic had changed over the last decade. And this year, Census 2020, we are expecting more changes in the community. As I said, Queens Library is for everyone, and Queens Library is a safe space for all. Before I started at Queens Library, it's been 20 years ago, 2000. I started as a part-timer, and then Queens Library supported me to go back to the library school, and I became a librarian, and I started like working as a children's librarian at Queens Public Library. And as I said, the demographic has changed a lot, and I am the witness for that. So let's see the Queens County profile. In 2010 census, as you see, the population was 27.6% non-Hispanic white, 27.5% Hispanic, and 17.7% non-Hispanic Black and African American. And then and Queens has 47% total population who speak other languages than English. As you see, the Queens demographic had changed a lot. And we are excited for Census 2020. And I think you all know that Queens has 160 languages, people spoken languages, and in addition to English, and representing 190 countries. Yes, of course. Census 2020, as I said, we are excited to see the demographic changes in Queens. and also most of our workshops we do based on demographic in different parts of Queens Public Library. So for Census 2020, we have selected 40 hard to reach out library locations in Queens. And as we all know, Census 2020 will be online, and Queens Public Library is partnered with Census 2020. So we will be organizing more than 6 languages workshops. As we know, last summer, the mayor office awarded 1.4 million collectively to the Queens, Brooklyn, and New York public library system to serve as the city's go-to places for people to take the census. Outreach resources, relationship with community partners, and standing as trusted institution uniquely position us to take on this role. Queens Public Library is training their staff, and we already created the marketing materials. The kickoff workshops will be at the Queens Public Library April 1st. As I mentioned earlier, Queens has a residence 47% who speak other languages than English, and these statistics is based on 2018 American Community Survey, U.S. Census Bureau. So Queens Public Library has 65 community libraries. And since it has been 20 years I'm with the Queens Public Library, I had a chance to work in 42 different physical locations. And Queens Public Library, we have 7 adult learning centers, which we served fiscal year 2019, more than 4,000 students. And each community libraries are 2 miles apart. So those are like walking distance. So businesses we did for fiscal year 2019, there were 13.5 million items circulated, and then 11.2 million visited at Queens Library, and then 172,000 new library cards were issued. And we had 972,000 active borrowers, and we had 52,000 free programs attended by 880,000 customers. As you see, 3 million reference questions were answered, and 7.8 million visitors visited to our website. This is our organizational chart, and as you see, our organization is a horizontal structure. At Queens Public Library, I report to senior management. As I said, part of my job responsibility is to organize educational workshops, other languages than English, throughout 65 community libraries. And then languages I coordinate, you name it, starting Arabic, Bengali, Haitian, Urdu, Spanish, Russian, Korean, etc. And I also always need to attend trainings and meetings depending on the current issues, such as Census 2020. I'll be actively involved for all the meetings and training related to Census 2020. New Americans program is one of the department that Queens Public Library has services for immigrant population. New Americans program was established in 1977. The main idea was to serve the immigrant population and educate them about the American culture and how they can easily settle down when they migrated to Queens. Keep in mind long-term and short-term goals of all the services we are providing for our patrons. It is important that the immigrant can cope quickly and adapt new culture in their country. We try to make them feel Queens Public Library is home away from home for them, because Queens Public Library is a safe haven and home away from home for them. And as you see, New Americans program included coping skills workshops, cultural arts programs, ESOL programs, etc. Based on the current issue and demographic needs, as we know, demographic is changing every minute, I would say, at Queens, and it's a lot. So we mostly make a partnership with most of the community-based organizations. So let me talk about some outreaching and then programming. Um, we have a very strong strategic planning for Queens Public Library, which is like, we believe we have powerful people and powerful programs. The demographic of Queens, since the demographic of Queens is changing every minute, and nature of the informational need is changing quickly. New Americans program always focuses on demographic changes and current issues to help and serve the diversely uh, uh, population. So there are some principles of services from us, uh, which is like, we keep in mind always, we practices for intellectual freedom for our services, is always open, free access and no cost to the library users and its resources. We always have the best customer service for our clients because our staff speak most of the languages spoken in Queens. Recently, Queens Public Library added the new languages device for the language interpretation. So services, as I said, we of course we have the programs and services for children, for young adults, for teens, for adult senior citizens. But from New Americans program, since I work at New Americans program, I'll be mostly talking about New Americans program, what we do and how do we do that. So we do have international relations services, which is like other countries librarians, they come and visit our system and learn our services and then bring that experience with them. For example, Spain, Netherlands, Australia, we always have intern. So we do have, once again, New Americans program's main purpose is to provide accurate and current informational services to our client. We not only organize the different languages workshop, but also we always have new initiative with the immigrants serving agencies, such as a domestic violence educational workshop in Bengali, Hindi, Urdu, and with the other organizations. And as you see, the international relationship, we already have National Library of China, Shanghai, and we have a sister library partnership, Biblioteca Public de Information, and we always participate in IFLA and other international organizations. I would like to highlight some of my coping skills workshop, and I will explain briefly how we do it. Most importantly, coping skills workshops are educational workshops, and basically all of them are other languages workshop. But this one, I want to highlight this specific one. This is a free session class. As you see in the screen left side, the blue flyer is in different library locations, which is Central Library. Woodside, and Richmond Hill. These are three specifically different demographic, communities who are living there, and we are partnered with USCIS, and we have city budget, so we help our client how to practice their 100 questions and then exams preparation for free citizenship. So this is a paid program. Excuse me. On the right hand side, as you see, free citizenship classes, and if you look at the bottom, it says the ANSOP Center. There is a logo. So ANSOP Center is one of our community-based organization, nonprofit. So they are doing these free citizenship classes at the library for free of cost. Of course, all of the classes are free of cost. But when I mention our budget, we need to pay the presenter to do the classes. But when we partnership with the organization, community-based organization, such as ANSOP Center, they have the grant for USCIS, and they are doing these classes in collaboration with New Americans program at Queens Public Library, so that students can get free help. We are doing it right now in 3 different locations. One is Elmhurst, another one is Flushing, and another one is Broadway Library. All the libraries, all the sessions, it is a semester, by semester we do it. So 12 sessions per semester, and all the classes are full. Basically, each class we have more than 25 students who are coming, and they are from different ethnicity, and they are practicing their US citizenship exams for spoken, reading, and writing. So this is one of our highlighted workshop that New Americans program, provide for immigrants. Here is another example: apply for US citizenship for free legal help at the library near you. So once again, Queens Public Library always partner with community-based organization. So we basically partner with the other organization. As you see in the flyer, we are partnered with City Corp, NY Citizenship, Robin Hood Foundation, NILAG. So all these organizations, they're doing event helping client or students who needs to apply for US citizenship. And sometimes we have a clinic. At the clinic, there are lawyers who, excuse me, who always help students or the applicant fill out the 400 forms, and what they need to do to apply for US citizenship. So this is one of our very high demand workshop and event. And as you see, we partner with these many different organizations, so the workshop is always free of cost, so we don't have to pay anything. And then next one, we have free immigration legal services at the library. Since Queens Public Library is BIA accredited, and Immigrant Justice Corps provide us the lawyer, and we provide the free immigration legal services with the space, and then the information they need. We always have resources, so we share with them. And once again, the attendance is very, very good for these high demand classes. Next one is immigration assistance. We have a web page. Basically, if you go to www.queenslibrary.org, you will find all the information that I'm talking about. Everything is online. So we keep information updated 2 months in advance. For example, right now I'm working on 2 months advance scheduling, and which is May and June. So all the March and April's workshop and programs we are organizing for our clients, they are already online. You can find all this information. And since we are doing this services for our immigrant community, they need language assistance, and then most of the workshop we are doing in different languages. And the services, all these services we are doing, these are confidential, safe, and one-on-one. So that like the clients feel comfortable when they come for help. The next one is Know Your Rights workshop. The reason I wanted to share with you guys because, as you see, the flyer is in English and Chinese, and we also have Chinese or Korean, Chinese, Korean, and Spanish. So as I said, we are committed for our clients that will serve their languages. So this is one of the flyer that does the way we do publicity. And this is an example for our flyer. We do publicity in many different ways, such as printed flyer, website, monthly guide, social media, and ethnic media. And New American program has connection with Chinese media, Bengali, and Spanish media. And we do have our own social media, which is Facebook page. So whenever we have anything highlights, for example, we are working on Women History Month. And talking about Women History Month, as you see, interfaith breakfast. So one of the organization named Connect it's been more than 8 years. I've been working with them, and they are a very proud partner of Queens Public Library. And they are a nonprofit organization, and they do twice a year interfaith breakfast. So we partner with them, and we invite organizations or representative. They come to the interfaith breakfast, and then we talk about interfaith. It is a very well known and then very demandable program at Queens Public Library. In the picture, we have Program and Services Director, Ms. Sharon Murray. She had an opening remarks at Queens Central Library 2019, and this event always attended near like 30 or 35 organizations. So this is one of our highlighted event that we are doing, and I do the coordination, and I feel pretty good because and blessed. Of course, this is one of the needed topic. We need to talk about interfaith, and then it's important. Talking about the consulate partnership, as I mentioned you before, that we do most of our workshops partnership, and those are like free of cost. But here you see the Korean Education Center. They donated 13,500 for fiscal year 2018 and 19. So we are able to provide Korean classes and cultural program in Korean in different libraries, as you see, Flushing, McGoldrick, and Sunnyside for 1 year. And then the partnership was started in 2014. This is one of the Korean workshops that I just wanted to share with you guys the beauty of Korean tea culture and testing. As I said, these kind of workshops, like always are heavily impacted. People come and then learn and share their culture. And when they come, sometimes we monitor as a library staff. I can tell you, you feel like you went to Korea, and then having their culture, learning their, like how they do this in their culture, it is very important. And it's a good promotion for sharing each other culture at the Queen's Public Library. And we also have a partnership with Chinese Consulate. Consulate one time donated like more than $100,000 for Flushing Library. And we have a Chinese collections named Shanghai Window. And we had done lots of series of Chinese calligraphy workshop at Fresh Meadow Library, Flushing Libraries, and then, as I said, the programs and then event are well attended. And we are very proud that we have that connections, and we are able to do some of the cultural program at the Queen's Public Library. This is one of the picture from the event Chinese calligraphy. Let me tell you, the picture taking policy, we do have a policy for nearly everything, but we do have signed these attendees the photo release form, so we can use them for our media, or we can keep it in our our record. So that's important, the saving our work. And as you see, that was very well attended event. And as I said, Chinese, Korean, and any kind of cultural programs at Queen's Public Library is always very, welcoming, and people come and attend. So most of the time they come to learn other culture. Sometimes they come to share their own culture. All right, so much to share. As you see, Bangladeshi Consulate book donation ceremony. But we have a limited time today, how much I can share with you guys. So I'll try my best. Since the Bangladeshi population has grown so fast in Queens, Bangladesh Consul General donated a good amount of Bengali books for Central Library and prepared with many other series of cultural program in collaboration with New Americans program. In the picture, Queen's Public Library's Chief Librarian, Mr. Niboron, and Bangladesh Consul General in New York City, Honorable Mr. Sharmin Hassan, and of course, Coping Skills Librarian, Selina Sharmin, who it is me who coordinated the event. And it was a very successful event, and then everybody appreciated it. And International Mother Language Day celebration was one of the another most important celebration from Bangladesh and Bangladeshi people. So we coordinated, and then Bangladesh Consulate Office in New York, they did an event for International Mother Language Day, February 21st, 2019 at Flushing Library. There are 7 countries consul generals participated, and the cultural program represented different languages and countries such as Bangladesh, China, Kosovo, Bhutan, Colombia, and India, including Mexico. As I said, the attendance was overflowed, since that capacity for Flushing Library was only 200 people. I want to talk about something about like internal partnership at Queen's Public Library, which is like we have other departments internally: Job and Business Academy, Program and Services Department, other learning centers, community libraries, and health and community services, which is like from New Americans program, the educational workshop. We partner with Job and Business Academy. For example, from May and June, we'll be doing a Bengali computer class at Central Library, which has a huge demand for Bengali speaking population. We also have Spanish speaking computer classes, Spanish computer classes in Spanish. So that classes are always full in 3 different library locations: Central Library, Flushing Library, and Langston Hughes Libraries. And as I said, community libraries, we have, since we have 65 community libraries, sometimes library branch manager, they contact with New Americans program, and they want to do, cultural program, and then sometimes they have their own budget, so they share with us, and we coordinate the whole thing, like programming or educational workshop. Another thing is, like, we do have collections in different languages. I think we have more than 60 or 70 languages collection at Queen's Public Library. Specifically, we have heavily impact in Flushing Library for Chinese, for example, Jackson Heights for Spanish, and then, Woodside for Bengali, something like this. So internal partnership is also important, because, that's the way we share our work with other, department. As I mentioned earlier, computer classes in different languages, it has a huge impact for Queen's Public Library. And then we have, from coping skills, we have city budget, and I get to spend the budget before any fiscal year ends, like June 30th. So I'm, I'm working on that to finish my budget, and we do have organization who is partner with us. So they gave us the teacher, so we paid them, and then there are like two different locations. As I said, computer classes is happening right now, including the Bengali computer classes. The attendance are really good, and we do publicity into different languages, English and Bengali, and we make sure every flyer says that the program is, bilingual or only English, or maybe, English or Bengali or English and Spanish, something like this. As part of my job, sometimes I need to do a community or outreach to the neighborhood. For example, I always go hospitals, schools, colleges, and churches, mosques, local mosques, senior centers. I do have training for Book Mobile. As you know, Queen's Library has a Book Mobile services, and we have a outreach program at Queen's Public Library, and they have correctional outreach program too. Sometimes I help them by attending their events, and since I have the language expertise of Bengali, Hindi, and Urdu, and I can help them, our outreach unit. And I just want to mention one outreach specifically. Last month I had done. There is a high school in Jamaica, Queens, and the population for student body is growing. These are Bangladeshi students, and they had a musical night. So the principal contacted with us, and then since I speak Bengali, I get to go there to do our, outreach services. So I mostly talk about Queens Public Library services, and then New Americans program, citizenship, all this stuff. Uh, but the thing was, surprised me. There were a lot of Bangladeshi people who are newcomer, and they brought their teens with them, and they are in the school, so they're having difficulties with learning, speaking English. So I was blessed enough to give them the information so they can come to Queen's Public Library and learn English classes, since we have a huge chunk of services for English as a second languages. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we have 7 adult learning centers, and every semester we have 30 locations, including the I mean, the English as a second language, the English learning classes. So those are very popular for our clients. Last not least, I just want to focus on coping skills workshops that I coordinate. Last year, 2019, I had coordinated more than 144 workshops, and I try to meet all the basic languages spoken in Queens. But I coordinated 12 languages such as Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, English, Haitian, Hindi, Korean, Nepali, Russian, Urdu, etc. and the attendance has increased. There were like more than 60 to 100 attendance, so it was a lot and huge impact for our library services. And I just want to talk about a little bit of my experience at Queens Public Library. As I mentioned, I came from Bangladesh in 2000. Migrated with my husband, and I went to St. John's University 2004, and I finished and graduated Masters of Library and Information Science from St. John's University in 2006. So after I finished and completed the coursework, I realized that it was not easy to get a job anywhere. And I thought, like, now what? I graduated. So now what? It was very painful process to find a job. I applied to every public library in New York City. Finally, I was hired as a children's librarian trainee 2007 and Queens Public Library. The issue I faced were unpredictable because doing customer service was challenging for me. Library patrons wanted to see Americans at the desk, not the Asian girl. They might think I was from India, but most of the time I asked where you are from. And sometimes they did not even know where Bangladesh is. I confirmed that no matter where I come from, what language I speak, I could help you because I'm a librarian and I have an MLS degree from St. John's University. I would have benefited from an internship that offered some real life work experiences. I'm a quick learner, I can tell you. So I adapted quickly and started reading and studied more than 300 children's picture books and memorized all the 300 writers' names for children. And Queen's Public Library trained me as a children's librarian from the beginning on how to complete the program, how to build their core collections, and early literacy program, of course. In my new country, I became a US citizen 2005. I did not hire any lawyer to complete the process for US citizenship. I did it by myself as an immigrant. I learned and adapted to the new culture. Now I'm helping other immigrants settling down and succeed in United States. I feel proud for that. I did not know. I'm telling you, I did not know that I was the first Bangladeshi woman librarian at Queen Public Library. In 2007, I started my full-time job. And while I graduated in 2006 from St. John's University, I did the first bilingual story time at Queen's Public Library. So there was a new services was added to the library service. As you know, all know, the demographic had changed in Queens since the last census and a decade ago. So finally, 2011, I applied for a position, in immigration services at Queen Public Library New Americans program, and I was hired as a coping skills librarian. Last not least, I think I found my niche, and I love my job as a coping skills librarian. Since 2011, I believe public libraries are universal for most immigrants to find a home away from home. With that, I will finish my presentation. Thank you, gracias, dhanyabad. If you have any question, I can answer. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much, Selina. Are there questions or comments? Lots of great information here.
Yes, I will be happy to answer any question. And I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation. I was
Yes,
very
very much.
excited.
Thank you. Yeah. While people are thinking of their questions and comments, just to point out that while Selina is working at the Queens Public Library in New York, you're going to find lots of these same diverse communities and populations in different parts of the country and different parts of the world. So just to kind of re-emphasize the point that the New York Public Library System, the Queens Public Library System, the Brooklyn Public Library System, similarly to, uh, say San Francisco Public, Chicago Public. Lots of people tend to think that they will only encounter such diverse populations and so many at once in these very large systems and cities, but that may not be the case. So when we talk about doing this work with diverse populations, we should be ready, willing, and able to work compassionately and effectively with these populations anywhere that we go. Okay, great. So the
Okay.
questions are coming in. All right.
Yes. So that,
All right. So I
yes,
think
we do
maybe Dylan's question.
yes. The homeless issues, public library work on homeless issues. Yes, OG. So we do have those, problems at Queens Public Libraries, and then we have a different department and the person assigned for homeless, issues. So they work on that. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have to deal with the homeless issues, but we do have the policies, and that we are trained. As I said and mentioned, all the Queens Public Library staff, we are current in training, and then what needs to do, we are very aware of it. And then I can share you one personal experiences when I was working in one of the branches. As I mentioned you earlier, I physically worked out of 65 libraries. I worked in 42 different libraries. So as I said, I'm an Asian girl, so people didn't trust me as a librarian. So it was heartbreaking. And then one day, one customer, one of the branches, South Ocean Park, he came at the lunchtime, and he asked for the information. The information was provided. I was at the reference desk, but the homeless guy, he smell stinky, and then I can smell like, something like, wrong. And then he didn't believe me. He said, no, you gave me the wrong information. Then I said, okay, you hold on, I will be right back. And then my supervisor manager, he was at the lunchroom, so I explained him what happened. So when Mr. Jason Reddy came, and he explained to the customer, like, he was homeless, obviously, and he was drunk. So he was handled, my supervisor handled it well, that Selina provided the, right information. So, she was right. And then, by working in the customer service, as I said, we have lots of training about like how to handle the situations. And I mean, we are pretty trained on that. So we handle all these, things. If you come to anytime Central Library, Queens Public Library in Jamaica, Queens, we have cafeteria. So people, especially homeless, they come inside the library and they try to like stay all day, because Queens Library is for everybody, so we cannot block anybody, but we have security. So what happens is, anybody is not behaving well, so we don't have to deal with that at the Central Library. They pretty much like, handle it. But at the branches, as I mentioned, the supervisors and we are trained enough. So if anybody complain, like if anybody is drunk, and then it's stinky, smells stinky, so we just talk to them nicely, politely. The sir, is there anything I could do about, what kind of help do you need? So we are very, well trained for that. And there is another question. I was wondering if the Queens Library immigration enforcement action are subject to greater security from organization like ICE. Is there a policy of place? Okay, that's a great question. Not so far of my knowledge. From my department, New Americans program, we organize some workshop like this is an immigration issue. And as you see throughout my presentation, we help with everything. We organize pretty much any topic workshops. So regarding the ICE issue, we did have a organization who presented like the people are undocumented, people who are asylees, asylum seeker, what they need to do. We do help them with information, but so far my knowledge, there is no situation happened, and Queens Library is a safe place for everybody. Okay, you're welcome.
Are there other questions or comments?
Well, I don't know if we still have a few minutes. I can share some other things that sometimes we have issue, like of course, I mean, I didn't talk about most the issue in my presentation. As I said, there are so many things to share, and by just working at Queens Public Library, we experience through our work, and then whenever we have any issue, we try to resolve it. Behind the counter or behind the decks, we have many situations, and it depends. Every situation is unique, so we try to handle all the situations. Yes, and then as I mentioned, like I was the first Bangladeshi librarian, women librarian for Queen's Public Library. I did not even know that. I made the history. But when I started the bilingual story time, one of the branches in 2007, I did not have any collections in Bengali. So I had to discuss with my supervisor, and she gave me, I mean, there was a given money for a blanket budget for $1,000. And then I was able to buy some books, and then conducted the bilingual story time in Bengali, and I invited the councilwoman Michelle Titus, and she came and read the story to the audience for the children, and she donated $500, money for the book, for the library. So it was a huge impact for the library services. There is another question. Okay, that's a great question. As I said, I've been working at New Americans program since 9 years, and with the library for last 20 years. We are partnered with Queensborough President Melinda Katz's office. So we have a monthly task force meeting every month. So group of people, organization, more than 60 or 70 people, we meet there, and we discuss, and we have training about the current issues, and we exchange our business card. And as you see, we are partnered with Mayor Office and many other organizations. Most of the time, they contacted with us. The school contact with us. The churches contact with us. The colleges and contacted with us. And depending on the current issue, for example, Census 2020, we are partnered with Census Bureau. So we will be doing partnership, many programs, workshop, but mostly we are trained for current issues. Another issue will be, you can name it. I mean, immigration law and changes. So we sometimes we contact. For example, if we need a Bengali speaking lawyer, so then as a Bengali speaking, person, I go to the my connections, and then find a proper person who can speak in Bengali. But as I said, the most of the time, we are pretty good that Queensborough President's monthly task force. I'm a member of that task force, and we meet each month, and then we have organizations coming, and we create new contacts. Did Queens Public Library have okay? Did I answer your question? Another thank you. Another examples, like I have to do 2 more outreach to the local elementary schools, since their population also changing. So I'll be going to the public schools and talking about library services, Queens Public Library services. Yes.
other questions or comments?
I can tell you, like, during my time like working at the Queensboro Public Library, I think I have grown a lot because Queens Library always trained us. And yes, serving the population is not easy. We have to have a good customer, service. And many times, as I said, people, they expect, Americans behind the desk. Americans mean like anybody except, like, since I'm an Asian girl, and I had a pretty tough time to learn, and I think I mentioned one time that I had to learn 300 children's, books, picture books, writer's name. Uh, so it was tough serving the community. It was not easy. It was a big challenge. Yes. But I think, like, as I said, I have overcome it. And um, yes, and I'm blessed that, I found my niche, and I'd love to work many, many more years. Thank you so much for listening to me. Is there any question I can answer or any comment? I'll be happy to do that. Dr. Cook, do you have any question for me?
I don't. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. My pleasure. So,
All right, everyone, please join me in thanking Selina for taking some time out. It was wonderful to hear about your experience and all of the wonderful work that you do, and we are grateful to have your expertise.
okay, you are very, very welcome, and love to, talk more in future.
Yes, please. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you for another wonderful session. For the folks in class, thanks so much for coming. And for those that watch the recording, I hope you will enjoy the session as much as we did. And thank you to the guests that are joining us for the lecture in the Diversity Lecture Series. All right, I wish everyone a good night, and we will meet again next, or excuse me, not next week, 2 weeks from today, and we will resume our Diversity Lecture Series. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good evening. Bye bye.